Once upon a time, in a small village, lived a fisherman and his loving wife, leading a tranquil and peaceful life. Every morning, before the sunrise, the fisherman would venture out to sea, casting his nets, while his wife would assist the neighbors on days when the catch was plentiful. One day, as the fisherman set out to sea in the early hours of the morning, he unexpectedly caught a huge fish unlike any other. With its vibrant scales and colossal size, the fish would become the stuff of legends in the village. Together, the fisherman and his wife brought this magnificent fish back to their village. The villagers were awestruck by the size of the fish. As word spread, people from neighboring villages came to see this extraordinary catch. The fisherman and his wife decided to organize a celebration in the village. The thought of selling the fish never crossed their minds. They simply wanted to foster unity and a loving atmosphere among their fellow villagers. The fisherman's wife immediately began preparations for the celebration. Everyone in the village pitched in, lending a hand and working together. When the day arrived, the village was adorned with colorful fabrics, filled with delicious food, and resonated with cheerful music. People came together thanks to the fisherman's extraordinary catch, strengthening their bonds of neighborly love. Throughout the celebration, everyone helped each other, smiled, and danced. The fisherman's wife was filled with joy as she witnessed the happiness of the people they had brought together. The fisherman felt proud to have contributed to creating a warm atmosphere in their village alongside his wife. As the celebration came to an end, the villagers gathered, realizing the importance of solidarity, love, and the value of shared moments. From that day on, the fisherman and his wife initiated an annual tradition of hosting a festive celebration in their village. That extraordinary fish became more than just a seafood, it became The Selfish Fox and the Stork, Journey of Friendship. Long ago, deep in the forest, there lived a selfish and cunning fox. The fox always thought of his own interests and selfishly managed his relationships with the other inhabitants of the forest. However, one day, a kind stork from another corner of the forest made an unexpected touch in the fox's life. The stork, unaware that he would bring peace and friendship among the forest inhabitants, found a new settlement. At first, the fox tried to use the stork only for his own interests. However, the stork realized the truths underlying his selfish behavior and decided to turn this situation into a lesson. One day, the fox invited the stork for dinner. However, the fox, again thinking of his own comfort, prepared wide plates. The stork's long beak made it impossible for him to eat from the wide plates. Despite being hungry, the stork internalized this situation to teach empathy and learning. After a while, the stork invited the fox to his home. This time, the fox encountered meals in a long pitcher-like container. However, the fox's nose was not enough to reach the food in the long pitcher, and the fox faced hunger. This experience initiated a profound change within the fox. The fox strengthened their friendship with the stork over time. As they explored the beauties of the forest together, the fox began to communicate with other animals. During During this process, the friendship that emerged between the fox and the stork inspired the other inhabitants of the forest. One day, the other animals living in the forest noticed the fox's change and the strong friendship he had formed with the stork. The fox abandoned his selfish behavior and started communicating with the other inhabitants of the forest. Instead of cunningness, he chose honesty and discovered the beauties of sharing and cooperation. Shoemaker and the Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in a village, there lived a kind shoemaker and his wife. The shoemaker earned their living by making shoes. However, one day, nobody wanted to buy his shoes anymore. Their livelihood became difficult, and they were left with only enough leather to make one last pair of shoes. His wife tried to comfort him, saying, "Don't worry, everything will soon be all right. You'll start selling shoes again, just like before, and we'll be happy again." These conversations were overheard by 3 little dwarfs outside. The dwarfs felt sorry for the shoemaker and his wife and decided to help them. During the night, the dwarfs secretly entered the shoemaker's shop and started working with the remaining piece of leather. By morning, they had crafted the most beautiful pair of shoes and then disappeared. When the shoemaker and his wife saw the wonderful shoes on the table in the morning, they were astonished. However, they wondered who had made these beautiful shoes. After placing the beautiful shoes in the showcase, the shoemaker noticed a change when a merchant came to buy them. The dwarfs kept coming every night, making even more beautiful shoes and revitalizing the shoemaker's business. However, the shoemaker and his wife wanted to find out who was doing these acts of kindness. One night, they decided to observe the dwarfs as they made the shoes. They realized how lucky they were when they saw the dwarfs' cute songs and fast work. They also noticed that the dwarfs' clothes were torn. So, the shoemaker and his wife decided to make tiny clothes for them. They spent their nights sewing the most beautiful clothes to thank the dwarfs. The next morning, they won the dwarfs' gratitude by leaving the clothes on the table. This chain of kindness became a turning point in the shoemaker's and his wife's lives. The Tale of the 7 Fairies. There was a mother with 2 daughters. One was hardworking, intelligent, and beautiful. The other was mean-spirited, selfish, and lazy. Their mother fell ill, and someone had to work around the house. However, the mean-spirited daughter refused to work, saying, "I'm not fit to work at all." The kind-hearted daughter, on the other hand, went out to find a job. Her mother advised her, "Help anyone in need, always work, and if you do your job honestly and properly, you will succeed." Keeping this advice in mind, the girl set out. Along the way, she encountered a tree. She helped the tree by clearing its dried branches. She also noticed that the chimney was worn out and needed maintenance. The girl didn't mind getting dirty and did all the repairs. Later, a vineyard asked for her help, so she vigorously assisted with the weeding. Then, she came across a dirty dog. She took the dog to the river and cleaned it thoroughly. She helped everyone in need. Tired but happy, she reached a house where 7 fairy sisters lived at the edge of the forest. The fairies instructed her to clean the house for a year but asked her not to enter the 8th room. When she successfully completed this task, the fairies asked why she hadn't entered the 8th room. The girl explained that she had obeyed the instructions. The fairies then went to the 8th room and brought back a sack filled with riches. On her way back home, the girl encountered the dog, the chimney, and the vineyard, and she rewarded them just as she had thought to do. When she returned home, her family and the mean-spirited sister listened in astonishment to her story. The mean-spirited sister, filled with jealousy, eventually came to understand the value of kindness, honesty, and hard work as their father recovered, and their family became prosperous. She decided to become a good person too. Thus, their family lived happily ever after, enjoying a life filled with love and kindness. The Tale of the Golden Thread Tailors and the King's Garments. Once upon a time, two unknown travelers arrived in the city where the king resided. They claimed that the fabrics they carried were of unparalleled quality. However, the unique feature of these fabrics was that only foolish and incompetent people couldn't see them. Because the king had a penchant for garments, he immediately summoned the swindlers to his palace. He sent his most clever advisor to examine the fabrics to test their claims. However, the advisor, unable to see that the fabrics were actually being woven in front of an empty loom, believed in the swindler's deception. Satisfied with the advisor's report, the king sent another advisor to examine the fabrics. However, like the first one, he couldn't see that there was nothing there. Nevertheless, he told the king that the fabrics were magnificent. Unable to resist his curiosity, the king decided to see the fabrics with his own eyes a few days later. Yet, he too fell for the swindler's trick and believed in the existence of the fabrics. Thinking the garments were ready, the swindlers instructed the king to undress to wear his new clothes. Oblivious to the fact that he was actually naked, the king believed he was wearing the fabrics and presented himself to the public. Although the people couldn't see the king's garments, they feared to think him foolish or incompetent and hailed him with praises. However, a child suddenly exclaimed, "But the king is naked." Upon this statement, the people accepted the truth and realized that the king had been deceived. Although realizing he had been fooled, the king accepted the situation instead of feeling ashamed and continued to walk around the city in his underwear. Meanwhile, the swindlers left the city with the gold they had received and never returned.
Bir zamanlar, renkli raylar ülkesinde Tren Çiçeği adında sevimli bir tren yaşarmış. Tren çiçeği diğer trenlerle birlikte raylar üzerinde hızlı ve neşeli bir şekilde yol almayı çok severmiş. Bir gün renkli raylar ülkesinde büyük bir tren şenliği düzenlenmiş. Tren çiçeği bu heyecan verici etkinliğe katılmaya karar vermiş, ancak diğer trenlerin daha büyük ve güçlü olduğunu düşünerek endişelenmeye başlamış. Tren çiçeği bu endişeleriyle yüzleşmek için ülkenin bilge makinesine gitmiş. Bilge makinist tren çiçeğine şu sözleri söylemiş: "Unutma ki boyutun gücünü belirlemez. Senin içindeki coşku ve neşe diğer trenlere ilham kaynağı olabilir. Her yolculuk birbirinden öğrenebileceğimiz değerli derslerle doludur." Tren çiçeği bilge makinistin öğütlerini kalbine aldı ve şenliğe katıldı. Raylar üzerinde renkli ışıklar, şenlik ateşleri ve neşeli melodiler eşliğinde ilerlerken tren çiçeği diğer trenlere coşku katan enerjisiyle neşe saçtı. Şenliğin sırasında tren çiçeği renkli vagonlarından şekerleme atarak diğer trenleri güldürdü. Belki en hızlı değildi, ancak tren çiçeği en neşeli tren olarak herkesin kalbine taht kurdu. Renkli raylar ülkesi halkı onun enerjisi ve neşesiyle coştu. Sonunda şenliğin kazananı belli oldu. Ama tren çiçeği en özel ödülü aldı. En neşeli tren, en güldüren tren, en renkli tren, en komik tren. Unutulmaz bir günün ardından renkli raylar ülkesinde huzur ve neşe hakim oldu. Tren çiçeği herkesin yüzünde bir gülümseme bırakarak gerçek bir kahraman oldu. Ve böylece renkli raylar ülkesinde her trenin kendine özgü bir güzelliği olduğunu öğrenen tren çiçeği her gün raylar üzerinde neşe dolu yolculuklarına devam etti.